we don't want to make any excuses for ourselves. They came here and just kicked our. I mean, we just got to call it plain and what it was, and didn't do the things that we wanted to tonight. They took us out of a lot of our stuff, but a lot of things we can definitely fix and get better at. But I mean, it's just a learning experience.
So Kyrie Irving said it best. The Cavs got their butts kicked. At one point last night, Cleveland was down by 43 points, which was the largest deficit LeBron James has faced in any game, regular season or the playoffs, in his career. The Cavs fall to 0-3 against the Warriors and Spurs this season with the big three in the lineup. So, Stephen A., have you lost faith in the Cavs' chance of winning the championship now?
Well, yeah, I have. I have no doubt in my mind, even though I think that LeBron is right when he says they shouldn't take for granted the worst thing they could hear as a team is that it's you know, a foregone conclusion that they'll end up in the finals, because I can think like that, but they can't because they're the ones that have to be on the floor and perform. He's right about that. Nevertheless, I think we all look at the Eastern Conference, although we find ourselves relatively impressed with how it has become more competitive. I think Detroit is coming. I think Chicago has looked impressive. I think Jimmy Butler has emerged as a star in this league. I look at Paul George being back, and that's changed the complexion of Indiana, along with Monte Ellis being there. I'm looking at Hassan Whiteside with a triple-double just the other day, double digits in blocks. This dude is an enforcer on the defensive end of the floor in the lane to be there with D. Wade and Chris Bosh. If Goran Dragic shows up and earns a spec of the $80+ million he's earning, Miami definitely can be formidable. And, of course, Budenholzer is still doing a good job with Atlanta, even though they lost to the Knicks twice this year. I can't underestimate Atlanta as well. So you look at the competitive balance in the Eastern Conference, and Toronto, of course, because Dwayne Casey always does a good job. You can't dismiss the competitiveness. You have to recognize it, appreciate it, and respect it, and say it's going to be a little bit of competitive. But in the end, it's the Cavaliers conference to lose, which we don't believe they will do. They'll probably come out the East. So we all surmised they were going to be in the NBA Finals. The question is, who are they going to beat in the West? Because unless the Oklahoma City Thunder gets there, because LeBron James always seems to be Kevin Durant's kryptonite in some capacity, in the end, what you really have to look at, even though Oklahoma City can beat Cleveland, they are loaded enough to beat Cleveland. We really look at San Antonio and Golden State as the two primary teams to take Cleveland. And what have you seen from the Cleveland Cavaliers that can tell you that they can sustain anything against those two teams? In Golden State's case, you've got the ultimate snipers in Steph and Clay, with the Splash Brothers in your backcourt, with Draymond Green playing at an all-star level. Yeah. So we've got all of that going on. In San Antonio, you've got the experience of the Big Three. You've got one of the best all-around players in our Kawhi Leonard. You got LaMarcus Aldridge, you know, that is capable of stepping it up, and they're the #1 defense. And so when you look at that, along with their experience, and you're talking about things like Cleveland being a head case, J.R. Smith being so unpredictable because he's so temperamental, Iman Shumpert not being able to shoot, Kevin Love devoid of that dog in you that you've got to have, all right? Kyrie Irving, limited experience in postseason action because last year was his first playoff experience, along with that of Kevin Love as well. And then you've got David Blatt, who is a hindrance, a liability at the coach's spot. Not because he can't coach, not because I don't believe he can coach, but because there's a level of respect that they appear to lack for him in times of trouble. If they had somebody like Larry Brown, who's doing it up at SMU, or some reputable coach, that would be different. But I don't know if Black can get that from them. So I definitely have lost faith, because it's one thing to lose, but to lose like that, to get embarrassed like that. And Tristan Thompson, mad respect for him, got love for him, $84 million man, can't play $84 million, play 12 minutes and don't score a basket. Just can't do that. So it's all bad, no matter what way you slice it. I don't see how they can overcome the West.
Okay. I'm not going to overreact to this the way I accused you of earlier in the show, and you're kind of pulling it back a little bit here. But look, we all agree, if you trail in a big stage game against the defending champ on your home court by 43 points, something is very wrong with that picture. And I believe something's going to have to change dramatically to get a very talented team back to a level that it can compete with Golden State or San Antonio or Oklahoma City, whoever comes out of the West. So my question is, even though it appears that Dan Gilbert, David Griffin, really love David Blatt. They're big fans of his. They like him personally, and they're going to fight to prop him up. Is it possible at any point that LeBron James would go to the owner and say, I'm sorry, we have to make a change? And Tyronn Lue, you brought up earlier in the show, is sitting right there at his right hand. LeBron went and sat next to Ty Lue on the bench. Is he ready to be a head coach? Would it take this team up a level if Tyronn Lue took over the team? Maybe. So I think that would be the magic move to be made here, and it's going to be up to LeBron James to initiate it, to force the hand of the owner to make that change.
Well, I don't think that's something that LeBron James would do. A matter of fact, I've been told for years that's something that he would never do. He lets them know what he feel, just work tirelessly on getting the team better. Remember, the Lakers traded Shaquille O'Neal. Remember that Pat Riley would do whatever it takes to win, along with the plethora of other teams. You have to show a commitment to making necessary changes and doing what it takes to win, no matter what course. Remember, Pat Riley got rid of Stan Van Gundy and inserted himself in order to ensure that the Miami Heat would win the title in 2006. So when you look at those kind of things that have transpired, you're wondering what Cleveland is going to do. I don't want to, cast David Blatt in a bad light. I don't know enough about what he does. I personally like him, but I do know that consistently throughout his tenure in Cleveland, I have heard, even though he can coach, they don't believe he's the right man for this team, and they keep reminding me he was brought there before LeBron announced and agreed that he was coming back. So he was supposed to have a rebuilding team, and they were supposed to rebuild together, as opposed to adopting a championship team or inheriting a championship team and LeBron, with LeBron James and those guys. This is an entirely different situation than what he was supposed to be in, and I'm constantly reminded of that in one way or another. And the players are the ones doing the reminding.
Yeah, what is the goal for the Cleveland Cavaliers right now? It's to win the NFC
championship.
It's to win, it's the championship, but it's to win
the Eastern
Conference. Am I right?
Yep.
That's the goal right now. Win the Eastern Conference. And I understand you're going to have days like this where you're going to get, you expected to win this game. You're expected to make it competitive. It didn't happen. You lost in a dramatic fashion. Not only NFL teams, but NBA teams, as a pro, you find ways to get yourself back motivated. The great teams do. The great players do. And you can't tell me the great players in years past didn't lose games like this, found a way to get themselves back. Cleveland Cavaliers will bounce back. We all agree that they're going to win the East. Am I right?
Yep.
They're going to be there in the finals. They're going to find a way. It's either going to be San Antonio or it's going to be Golden State all over again. It's a 7-game series. Get back on track. I'm not going to overreact to what I saw yesterday, because I've seen it happen in history. I've seen it.
Not a prisoner of the moment.
I'm surprised that you said that, Darren, because keep in mind, when you're going up against coaches, your familiarity with what they're going to throw at you is more paramount in 7-game series than even regular season games. You got to be able to make that adjustment, which is why everybody's looking at the coach. You're not saying he can't coach. You're saying, look at who you're going up against. How much do you know about what they're going to throw at you, which is why the experience comes into play.
Cavs have lost 5 straight. They are in Brooklyn Wednesday. Poor Nets. They might take it out on them. Up next, did Jeremy Maclin throw shade at Chip Kelly while praising new Eagles coach Doug Peterson? Look at the tweet here. Excited for Doug. Philly getting someone who understands everything that factors into all, not just